It was a hot spring afternoon. I was 8 or 9 at the time. I'd come home from school and gotten started on my homework. I looked at the time. It was 4:45 p.m. My mom was 15 minutes late from work. I didn't think much of it and went back to working on my homework. I glanced at the time again. 5:30. She was supposed to be home nearly an hour ago. I was getting nervous, so I walked out to my front lawn to ask my older sister Mia if she knew what was going on. In an oddly calm voice, my sister explained to me that my parents had gotten into an argument the night before, and that our mom wasn't coming home that night. I felt my stomach drop, and a million questions rushed to my head at the same time. Where was she? When is she coming back? Why didn't she tell me about this? My sister tried to answer my questions as best as she could in an attempt to calm me down, but she didn't know much more than I did. I felt completely alone. I felt like the one person that cared about me the most in the entire world had abandoned me. Tears running down my face, I walked back into the house and grabbed my sister's phone to call my mom. After multiple attempts, she finally answered. Although it felt like everything I knew was falling apart in that moment, the second I heard my mom's voice, I felt safe again. I gripped the tiny blue phone that filled my hands as hard as I could and proceeded to bombard her with questions. She was prepared for all of them. She explained the problems my parents were having as best as one could to a child, but none of it made sense to me. She repeatedly told me why she couldn't come back home. Nevertheless, my begging persisted. For nearly 4 hours, we cried to each other over the phone until she finally gave in and told me she would come home that night. I was scared to hang up the phone. I didn't know if she just said she was coming back to make me feel better. I waited for her by the door for what felt like the longest 40 minutes of my life. When she finally walked through the doors, I immediately grabbed onto her and didn't want to let go. I finally felt like everything was going to be okay. But more importantly, in that moment, I realized how much I depended on my mom for emotional stability. Although this was probably one of the hardest days in my childhood, in the years since, I've learned to use this vivid memory to help me work through a problem I face quite often. Being an extremely independent person, I have a hard time asking people for help and like to completely rely on myself for most things. This self-reliance slowly turns into a comfortable state of solitude, which then creeps into complete isolation, at least emotionally. I remind myself of that moment over a decade ago, where it felt like everything holding me up at the time was taken from right beneath my feet. It reminds me that I can't do everything on my own, and I don't need to. I need a support system underneath me, and I realize now that that support system isn't always going to be my mother, but everyone I choose to let into my life.